Visitor statements.
We got some people we got to read then.
Okay, I got to read my little statement here. The Board of Education welcomes and encourages the participation of its citizens in the business of school district. There are 2 points in the meeting where visitor statements are scheduled. Citizens are welcome to raise questions or make comments at either one. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per individual and cannot be combined. Please note the Board of Education will not answer questions or engage in dialogue during visitor comments. If a person would like additional time to address the board, such a request should be submitted in writing 48 hours before the meeting to the superintendent. Okay.
Dave, come up.
And the first time in 30 years I've closed out a board meeting. I don't think I've ever had that happen before.
I don't think we're even halfway done.
I'm David Monty, 9034 Fairview Avenue in Brookfield, and I hope the board would give me a little bit more than 3 minutes, as I've been here for 2 hours almost. I hope I'm not taking anybody else's time, just yours, and I appreciate that very much. So first of all, again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I'm here this evening as a concerned taxpayer after hearing some shocking news on October 10th, which was the second to last day of the first quarter. And it was something that in good conscience I couldn't ignore. I needed to come and say something. And so again, I appreciate the opportunity tonight to speak to you. On that morning, I was informed that all 6 honors chemistry classes here at RB have had 28 students in each one of those classes since the very first day of the quarter. So the entire first quarter, those classes have had 28 students, which exceeds our school's current cap of 27 students per science class. After confirming that this was true, because I didn't believe it, I was also informed that the 6 regular chemistry classes have 2 sections at 27, 3 sections at 26, and 1 at 25, and that one has gone up to 26 since that conversation. And this is disconcerting to me for several reasons. First of all, there are only 24 lab stations in each one of our renovated classrooms. And there are 2 additional stations that are wheelchair accessible, but they do not have gas jets, and so they're not full stations, especially in a chemistry class. The second thing is there have been numerous studies published in my 30-year science teaching career about lab safety and overcrowding by organizations such as the National Science Teachers Association, the National Fire Protection Association, OSHA, and the National Research Council, which is on best practices of education. All of those studies show that lab classes over 24 students have higher rates of accidents, which can result in serious injury. The third thing, and I think this is the most important one, is labs are an essential part of any essential science curriculum, successful science curriculum, and they require a higher level of teacher-student interaction. The fewer students there are in lab, the easier it is for a teacher to clarify procedures, answer questions, assist students in honing their problem-solving and reasoning skills. When labs are overcrowded, it is extremely difficult for any teacher, no matter how talented that teacher may be, to go around and meet the needs of each student. The quality of the science education decreases and safety concerns increase. It's also extremely difficult to spark science interest and future career scientists in an overcrowded class. The last thing is every year we have students that transfer to RB from either parochial schools or from families that are new to the district. Where would we place a student today who transfers to RB and who's in the honors chemistry class from their former school? Would we have a class of 29? Would we deny that child the education that they deserve and place them in a class that's beneath their intellect and their abilities? In the past, there have been board and administrative decisions made based on policies and procedures that some may question as not best practice for education. With 3 newly elected board members and a new principal, I would like to take a few minutes to share with you some of that history. And if we truly want to be an excellent high school that provides an equitable and enriching educational experience for all of our students, I hope you will revisit these practices and decisions. The first one is the calculation of the full-time employee number, or FTE. This is usually made in November, even though student course registration for the upcoming year is not completed until sometime in January. How is it possible to calculate the number of employees we're going to need for next year if we do not know how many students we will have and in what courses? And what about the annual students who transfer into the district? Every summer, we have students that move into the district, and our Student Services Department keeps excellent records on those. It would seem important and prudent to budget for extra FTE to accommodate that space for those annual transfers. And right now, all those classes are at their maximum or over. Second, the Board of Education needs to look seriously at its educational fund balance policy. As a taxpayer, this one disturbs me. I couldn't find it anywhere on the Illinois State Board of Education website, but it used to be the ISBE recommended that districts reserve 33% of their money in an educational fund, which can then be tapped when additional money is needed. So, and please correct me if I'm misunderstanding this, if a resident's annual property taxes collected by the district were $10,000, the ISBE is saying $3,300 of that should be saved and $6,700 of that should be spent on the operation of the school district. Am I correct on that? At the previous board meeting on October 8th, the Landmark reported that we have about $19.5 million in our education fund balance, with an additional $2.9 million in working cash, which gives us a total of $22.4 million. The Landmark also reported that total cash reserve is 58.74% of our annual operating expenditures. And yet the ISBE recommends 33%, which would be $11.09 million if my calculations are correct. So our current ed fund balance is over twice the state's recommendation. I know that the ed fund balance has been built up over several years. It's been what our board has done. But if we go back to my tax example, it's like a resident is paying $10,000 and $4,100 is being spent on the student and $5,900 is being saved for a rainy day. Now, the issue that I'm here for tonight is it's a rainy day. At the end of the first quarter, all 6 of those classes in honors chemistry still have 28 students in them. And if we trust the expertise of the NSTA and all those other educational organizations, if we subtracted 4 kids from each of those sections, that would give us an additional section of 24 more students. So we would have 7 sections of 24. And on the RB website, a first-year teacher salary is $55,000. So to hire a teacher for .2 would cost this district $11,000. And we have $22.4 million in our savings account for a rainy day. A master's degree would be $12,000 a class. A veteran teacher with 15 years of experience would be about $22,000 a class. And if you do the math, $11,000 out of $22.4 million is 0.00049%. This is a minute expenditure that would secure not only more equitable and educational experience for each of the 168 honors chemistry students, but would also reduce the risk of injury in lab. For another $11,000, we could add another .2 teacher for all the regular chemistry classes, and that would better the experience for all of those students as well. And I know that the issue of overcrowded classes is not unique just for science, but when it comes to lab safety, especially science and applied arts, safety must be addressed. So, in conclusion, I've been here since 1990. I was a graduate student and then a substitute teacher in October of 1990. I've been here ever since. Those of you whose children I've taught, those of you who I've worked with and worked for, you know that I bleed Bulldog Blue. This is my home. This is my family. I moved here 11 years ago so that my 2 children could go here. They're both RB graduates, and I can share a lot of college information with you about those if you would like that information. And I understand the necessity of being fiscally responsible. I listened to that audit and the delays in the payments, and I get that. But we're sitting on more than double a savings of what we should have. And I know it's important, but we're also entrusted in educating the children of our taxpayers and preparing them the best for their future. And we have a duty to that, to make sure that they get the best education for when they leave this place and go on into the future world. And I know that resources are limited. I know that some schools struggle with their resources, but right now we have 22.4 million resources that are just sitting there. And for 11,000 or for 22,000, we can make a big difference in our students' education.
Thank you,
So
Dave.
thank you so much for your time and attention. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. All right, discussion information items. At this point in the meeting, Board of Education members may request to add an additional discussion item. All right. My left. Okay.